here we are in Group C, in the winners match, all kinds of places. We have on this overgrowthy map down here on the bottom left-hand corner of the area. It is from Team Dust. I already cast him something else today. I think he finished 4th. Pretty good. It is Dust's Alceister. And his opponent, also a Terran, up here on the top right-hand corner. He is teamless, but not worried about it at all, as he is Kunamatata. And we've got SCVs going out, scouting proxy locations for Kunamatata, making sure nothing wacky is going on, that there's not going to be hidden Reapers anywhere out on the map. And Mr. Alceister doing pretty normal stuff. He is opting for the wall off here with his Barasai command center converting into an orbital, as they tend to do. Internal production. So versatile these command centers are. Can become almost anything out of 2 options. And we've got a factory coming down as well for Alceister. Putting it up at the top little part of his base there. And could this be Widow Mines? Perhaps a single Widow Mine? Could this be an indication, as he is adding on a second gas, of Banshee play? Also a possibility. As he will start a starport in just a second. There it is. Tech Lab will be added likely to this factory. I can't imagine that it will not be. And we're going to get some Banshee play coming out. On the flip side of things, we've actually got the same thing happening. Kunamatata is working on his Tech Lab. It is a little farther along here. However, the starports almost in lockstep with one another, just about 4 or 5 seconds separating the two. So going to be on pretty even footing when it comes to the Banshees themselves. And of course, the first player to realize what is happening gets to roll out into awesome Raven production. And actually, it's Alceister that is immediately going to be getting a Raven himself instead of the Banshee. His opponent is going for the Banshee plus the Cloak here. And so that can make for some interesting play, starting things right off. We've got a reactor being added to the factory of Kunamatata versus a Tech Lab being added for Alceister as he begins tank production out of there. So he is going for the more classic, durable bio and tank-based army with that Raven support up in the air. That will definitely help him along if he decides to get into Viking battles in the air. Also give him some flexibility vis-a-vis the detection, which of course he's going to need in a few moments as a Banshee is making his way into the main base of Alceister here. As he goes, he's going to run directly into what is the starport with its own Tech Lab. And see the Raven here now. We'll try and kite back, getting 2 shots off on those Marines. The tank siege is up. Unfortunately, cannot help. Really good kiting actually here by Kunamatata. That's pretty well done to pick off at least one of the Marines, but overall here he's now got that out with the Cloak and can't really make a whole lot out of it. He got his own Raven on his end of things as well. The Banshee, though, still being alive, can definitely come into play when it comes to picking off individual tanks, anything like that. He's going to try and swing around to the top of the base and probably try and approach the mineral line from that angle. Viking is now out as well, so he will be able to engage air-to-air against the Banshee. Always important to be able to do. Command center has landed for Kunamatata, is completed for Alceister, but will not move it over just yet. The Banshee will try and come in against Alceister's base. Banshee does cloak up. The Viking will take some shots at it. Viking and Raven trying to chase it down. The medevac there just to help out. He's kind of like the two useful friends. They call us the Three Musketeers. And the Vikings like, you don't really do anything in this situation. But they will try and track that Banshee. Want to get it. The problem is Mr. Raven is a little bit slower than everybody else. And the Banshee's actually got a lot of energy. Oh, he turned off his cloak though. That was completely voluntary. He just kind of turned it off in that instance, thinking that he had gotten away. But unfortunately not the case for him. So the Banshee does go down. Tanks moving up the middle now with the Marines. Still unupgraded Marines. There's no stim yet, no combat shields that I can see on these. Really, the only research done in the entire game so far is the cloak on the Banshee for either player. The tanks moving on in. Can they get a good initial position here? Two Vikings, and a Raven on both sides. Good initial spot here, though, for Alceister, as he has siege close enough to put a little pressure on the orbital itself. With Viking reinforcements, though, he does have to fall back to this PVD line. And there are 5 of them, so they are still going to get the air superiority, but what's really the thing is that they were close enough that the orbital will have to lift anyway. He doesn't have enough time really to win that fight. More Marines coming across, and Vikings are not going to be joining for Alceister here either. So air superiority will eventually go to Kunamatata. It's just a matter of eating up this point defense drone. Second one is up in the back. Oh, I don't know what the hell that was. He landed the Vikings there. I think he meant to unsiege and siege up the tanks and did the wrong thing. Hunter Seeker on one of the tanks. Nice pickup, but unfortunately it does still detonate on that location and takes out one of them. But there's probably no avoiding that at that point anyway. And Kunamatata will reestablish here safely on the low ground, but that was a lot of interrupted mining time. His overall worker count is still considerably higher. Marines being baited in by the Vikings, which unfortunately did take that tank volley that they really didn't need to. I think that was just a misclick on the land command there, because otherwise there'd really be no reason for it. And one of the tanks there will go down behind the mineral line, but this one actually has no vision to really see. And yeah, the auto turret there, just going to take out the tank. It was trying to be repaired, but alas, that will never happen, as he's gone. That's such a great location on this map, behind the natural base. Since you can shell from that position, it gives you control, particularly if you can get that high ground control there. Unfortunately, though, that's not the case for Alceister. It was the case for Kunamatata, so with that control, he was the one that had the longer range. Unfortunately, the other tank had just fired first. They were both down to very low hit points, and he lost his first, then loses it eventually to the auto turret on the other side. No, another nice volley. Big charge in here by Alceister. Just getting one tank for all those Marines. Yeah, he wasn't sure he wanted to commit. There is a lot of Marines still behind that position of 3 tanks. That would make that actually quite dangerous to do. And it's going to be hard to really account for these Vikings again in the air. Stemming forward, he's trying to go after some again. There's one that's so low. I'm sure he wants that one. Okay, 2 of them do go down. As of course, when they dart in like that, there isn't the point defense drone defending them, as it is on the other side of things. The Hunter Seeker, he will pick up. Oh, Marines wandering into it. Tank will drop yet again. And, oh, the Vikings all go down at the loss of some Marines there right at the very end, but it's amazing how long those auto turrets actually last, as he can't take that position. But air control does go back to Alceister in this position. He does have a third command center down, but hasn't had a chance to bring it on down to the third itself. A drop going out by Kunamatata here. If Alceister realizes that the army has basically left, he will be able to push in here. There's almost only these 3 tanks, and he should be able to actually push up now that he's got some air control into that. The medevacs full are going to spot this third base. Are they going to stop there or attempt to go right into the natural itself? There is a tank that can siege up in the drop. There's also one at the natural for Alceister. Taking some big blasts. The Marines try. Oh, so little. 5 hit points actually left on that one tank, and it does hold the line here as Marines go after the drop tank. And things have now turned quite decisively in Alceister's favor, as he was able to survive that with surprisingly little damage. Actually, he will finish off this tank over on the left-hand side, but this is actually the Vikings go a little forward, I think, on their own accord there, and will get taken out as well. So neither one of them having much of an actual air army at this point. Instead opting for the medevacs. 2 more medevacs do a pickup and are actually going for a flanking maneuver, which is pretty interesting, but I don't know that he's got enough material to do it. He could move into a position to cut off reinforcements, but what was just dropped is still just only about the size of a batch of Marines coming in just now. Hunter Seeker going off at Kunamatata's main tank line. He's looking for a good opportunity, and no, we get the drop, counter drop kind of being made into the main here. Elevatory down, but there are more here for Alceister. And 2 medevacs actually supporting. The tank is not sieged up here, instead firing in normal mode. And with those in place, he's got to do something, but he can't really afford to unsiege or move that line. The main has been lined out anyway. This will eventually actually may not get cleaned up, as the healing power available is just a little bit too strong. Auto turret is pretty good, and Kunamatata gets overrun there at the natural at the last second as well. And with that CC gun, calls it a game. On Sacred Spring, I'll introduce quickly down here on the left-hand side of the map, we have from Team Dust, Alceister. His opponent over on the right-hand side of the map, currently teamless, it is our Red Terran. Down 1 game in this, it is Kunamatata. And the player that is up, Alceister, is proxying a barracks up here at one of the potential third base locations. And rallying that right forward, I obviously do expect this to be a Reaper, as he has been mining gas here as well. And there it has started up, going for the second barracks here as well. And he is looking to take advantage of this really big ledge area to make good use of the Reapers and get in and do a whole ton of damage. And a factory is what's coming down actually for Kunamatata after this, but he's got some inkling as he goes in and scouts, and there is a bunker coming down. The first Reaper is coming out here now. A Marine will be out on the field. He's got to destroy this SCV and just plain not let the bunker go up. The first SCV actually just gets away to stop fall. There, a second Reaper is well on the way. The first one kiting around, but he's going to do everything he can to let that bunker finish as the Reaper kites into the back of the mineral line. This is the interesting thing, though, is while that will defend that one spot, part of the reason that the Reapers are so good on this map is because you can attack from like a almost 360-degree angle. He can bypass this bunker almost entirely and then come back and heal. whereas the Marines will have to continually pop out and take damage. The SCVs will have to take damage. One of the Marines does die there, in addition to another SCV. Kunamatata at 14 SCVs now, obviously only 9, or Alceister has to back away. These highly damaged Reapers, they had to get rid of that one Marine that was too close to killing them, as they are deeply in the red here. And a little repair on this Hellion. The Hellions may be a little tough for them to deal with here. They are going to get roasted down. One remaining, and will fall here as another one comes in and I think thinks better of it. So Kunamatata, the bunker was, well, the bunker wasn't actually the key of defending it exactly, but it created a focal point that Alceister felt had to be stopped. And usually when you get that, obviously you want to stop the bunker from going up. So it's going to force your hand and force you to play a little more aggressively. If he had just been able or had the time to go back and let Reapers accumulate, then there comes a point at which you're one-shotting individual Hellions and everything. But he didn't feel, obviously, that he could give that time, or else the counts of everything would just kind of keep going up and up and up, and he'd always be able to fall back to that one bunker with any Marines that he did have. Looks like we're going to be going into Starport with the Tech Lab, and I imagine this time around it will also be a Cloak Banshee. The Reapers, 4 of them coming in, actually going after more SCVs here, getting a lot of kills really before there's any reaction out of Alceister. He keeps going up to the high ground there, and he wants to make this force come up into him, but he keeps just taking the fight, which is kind of interesting. He's got his Reapers pulled out, going after one of the Hellions here now. Really good Reaper control. Can definitely take Hellions out, no problem. But it does take a lot of, well, not no problem, it takes good micro to be able to do that, as if you line up and group up, the Hellion's definitely going to be more effective against you there. He's continuing with it as Reapers continue to be double pumped out. 3 are up on the high ground as the Banshee comes, though. Banshee not too slow, not too fast. But we've now hit a point where Alceister may have done enough damage to justify the entire attack. He's still going to be behind in what his tech is. At least he knows he needs an engineering bay now, and the Banshee will make his way across. He's going to need a turret, obviously. There's nothing at home to defend against anything. He has to make Marines, which he's now rallying back home, or else there's no other way to deal with the Banshee, and just a few Marines are obviously not going to be able to actually catch the thing. He doesn't have Cloak or anything, but that doesn't really matter when there's no anti-air anyway. Going after the turrets as they are building, going after one of the mules here, and a turret will finish. Changing his angle, but yeah, there is the path down here below in which he could still get at everything. And going directly after the orbital. Popping up, if he had, too bad he didn't pop up here a little earlier, could have caught that actually still building, which would have been a lot more crippling to Alceister. Does get the SCV there as well. And Kunamatata's base feeling a lot better on his end. The Marines here coming in kind of single file, buying time for this to get up. And the Banshee will back away. Turret finishes, and Alceister stabilizes in a sense, because immediately there will be a counterattack here. It doesn't help that his barracks are not even remotely near his side of the map. This is the type of case where maybe it was of strategic importance of some kind to take the rock towers down. I don't know when he would have been able to do it, though, obviously. Mule being dropped to repair that Banshee up to fighting mode. Bunker not down up front, and I think this is going to be it for Alceister. I don't think he can stop this. Yeah, and does end up tapping out. So we've got the series at 1-1. Here he tried it. He almost broke him. Got driven back, came on back in again, and almost broke him at that point, but then the Banshee chased things away. He also then went for the defense by sending Marines back home. Could have potentially tried to just continue with Reapers and go with a single turret smack dab in the mineral line and see what he could do there. I don't know that it would have worked. He'd obviously lose access to his gases, probably, unless he was able to afford like 3 something. Hello, we are back here on Vonnie Research Station for game number 3. And no proxies going out immediately this time. Up here on the top middle of the map, although he has gone for gas first here, is going to be from Team Dust, Alceister. And down on the bottom of the map, also doing a similar thing, is the teamless Kunamatata. So whether this is quick factories, double Reaper, quick upgrades, we'll see from there. But both of them did go for a fairly gas-heavy structure first. Alceister even a little bit more than his opponent. So we'll see how it diverges. And SCV is actually out and scouting for Kunamatata, whereas Alceister has not pulled one for that duty. Orbital command coming out, and it will be a Marine first, and the factory going down on this spot in the base, and we've seen Alceister stick it there before. Factory on the other side as well, of course, and yeah, fairly common when you get the gas that early that would be what you're going to do. As we wait eagerly for what may come out, whether there is a starport to be added onto this, whether it's going to be quicker tanks onto this, whether there will be what the follow-up will end up as. And just a single gas actually for Alceister, whereas Kunamatata is getting a second. Has showed that tendency to like the Banshee play. Has gone for that twice so far. And the starport will come down, and there's the tech lab. So again, I do expect the switch out to be done here. Whereas, yeah, we've got the tech lab on Alceister's side, but he's also shown the tendency to get the Raven as the first thing and play it on the defensive side instead of going for the Banshee himself. And I think we're going to get that again as the factory is also re-landing with, well, for a second there, it also had the tech lab being added to it, but he actually canceled that. And yeah, it is Raven. He has added the tech lab on. And we got Cloak and Banshee on the other side with a reactor on. So deviation in the same way that we have seen prior to this, both with the smattering of Marines out. And the Raven really is kind of a, I guess, pretty harsh counter. Well, even though it can't really like attack the Banshee itself, obviously the detection is good against it. Last time around, it took a while for him to get a Viking out. He went for a medevac before that. So see if he does the same thing. No, it is a Viking this time, which I think is a bit smarter given that he's now seen his opponent do the Banshee each time. And he's kind of done this, he's done this blindly, but I think he's done it in an educated blind way, in that his opponent really has done this multiple times now. The Banshee is angled directly towards the natural base where a SCV is out and patrolling here. So that will be his first sign of things. Banshee going after the SCV that was not yet building a command center. And the Raven and Viking coming in after this Banshee. And I think he's in a position here with where if this is microed properly, he can't get away. and will just die. And there he goes. Yeah, when you're in a corner like that, of course the Raven can kind of half cut you off by shortcutting the corner, and you can't outrun it. The main force moving out with 2 tanks and a good group of Marines. We'll try and get into position on Kunamatata's side of the base. Kunamatata is moving up to the ramp here, possibly getting into a position to try and do something about this. The scan coming out, catching the first tank as it makes its way across, or makes its way out to the ramp. Alceister's army is the one moving across, indeed. And we've got the barracks being swapped out to the tech lab. Viking on Kunamatata's side gets 1 free shot off, and that actually could be pretty big. Tanks moving in. Are they in range? 1 shot going off. This tank will siege up, actually in range. Oh wow. Good shells off on those Marines, and the 1 tank, it does fall here. Marines are up on the high ground, and the 2nd tank of Alceister is alive still. A supply depot falling down here, and the starport is right up front. A Viking does come out. Starport is going to try and run away to safety, getting quite low here. And with the high ground advantage, Alceister walks a little bit into the range of the 2nd tank, which actually has a pretty good position in my mind. This tank, however, sieges up on the semi-high ground, enough to shell at this, well, now unconnected add-on, and actually in range of the remainder of the production here. But the tanks have the high ground vision advantage based on these Vikings, which can afford to move forward a lot more. Alceister overall, though, actually down in worker count. His army supply is larger, and every element of that fight seemed to go a lot more in his favor. However, there is a point at which he can't push up here anymore, and that point was met as he pushes back into his base to live to fight another day and perhaps develop his economy a little bit more here, as he is behind by about 7 workers. And again, kind of conceded that air advantage. The Vikings coming out really made a big difference in how that fight developed. They are now patrolling the natural base so that they don't end up with a couple tanks drop down there on the low ground, and the SCVs under assault. Alceister's army obviously looking a lot more healthy, but Kunamatata's economy is a little bit more healthy on his side of things, so over the long run could end up evening out, as a 3rd command center for Kunamatata is underway, and no indication, it doesn't look like, of that yet for Alceister, who is instead ringing his natural base with missile turrets. He's definitely got the superior army in this case, but does still need to develop what the economy is going to be looking like. The army does get caught with the scan as they are moving out. A single Marine will come in and actually not go close enough to really look at the 3rd base. Will instead swing around and try and get a peek at it that way. See that there is in fact nothing there. A single Marine will run on out of his way. And those Marines for Alceister do have +1 versus no upgrades for his opponent. Still almost a minute and a half in order for Kunamatata to actually get his Marine upgrade attack underway. Or not underway, but completed. Stim will be done for both players, already done for Alceister, about to finish up here for Kunamatata, so that will be relatively even here. And it comes down to where is Alceister going to really attack. It's going to be hard to actually push into the high ground, but he's got to find some avenue. He has loaded up 3 medevacs worth of stuff. There are 2 Vikings on patrol, but they can only do so much, as everything will get down on the ground here. and tanks have sieged. SCVs immediately going in for the kills. One of the tanks left unsieged. That did kill a reasonable number of SCVs, leaving an awful lot damaged and scarred mentally, if anything. Nice Hunter Seeker. Will he get out of range here? Oh my god. He actually turned back into range and lost so many Marines from that Hunter Seeker missile. The counter drop going out here now for Kunamatata. He's dropping on the high ground here, trying to get a flank off on Alceister's army. If Alceister replies quick enough or responds to this, it should be fine. There's very few Marines with this, thanks to that single blast. There's only about 6. There's no way that 6 Marines can actually approach this. The tanks aren't even sieged up. This is a little odd, and he must see it now with this medevac flying right over the position of one of the tanks. If he realizes, he could definitely make a move from this location. The army making a bum rush in here. Tanks unsieged, trying to go after the siege position. Flanked from both sides, but Alceister has way more stuff. Takes care of one side, takes care of the other, and I think that may end up being it for Kunamatata. He's outnumbered 3-1 by the army supply. We are dropping at the natural here. Alceister putting 8 Marines down. They are going to go almost completely unanswered, or at least in one location. Elevator dropping up into the main itself as he tries to clean out the natural. One of the tanks does actually fall there, but still Marines up on the high ground. The shelling continues onto these factories. If he had more medevacs, he would just move the entire army up, I'm pretty sure. Could at any point go for that third base, and there'd be very little that he could do about it. And yeah, just so little, unfortunately, left for Kunamatata. Another little drop here in the natural, forcing a stim again as Marines come down to try and deal with this. He does keep losing this, though. He could actually just pick up and get away if he had done it sooner than that. But the Marines, rightfully so, moving forward. A tank getting picked off, falling back to the safety of the high ground tank. And another drop directly into the natural. And every time he does this, he's going to try and make an aggressive move forward in the main. 2 more tanks pushing forward here. Each time, though, he is losing a medevac. I know it's just a distraction, but it is a pretty costly one to continue to lose that each time. But it doesn't overly matter. The supply in army is evening out a little bit, actually, but the main base is now fairly mined out. If he knew about this third, if he did anything about it, he could have shut that down a while ago. But still, look at this. Like, they're everywhere. There's no way to attack into these tanks. He's got everything completely backed up, and there's just no angle of attack here whatsoever. The production is in shambles. One final attack coming in will be absolutely obliterated as it all comes up the ramp here. GG is called, and Alceister is the first member to make it out of this group. Hail Toronto.